Alright. We've got 3 packages here. Although, you should find that there's an amusing thing about today's stuff. This one, yep. Let's see. I'm going to put that there so we can set that down. And then, get a little start on this. Which, you may be surprised to find, is the same thing. I'll put that one aside. And the story of that's pretty simple. This is a very high priority watch, but it didn't come into stock on Amazon until Friday? Or Saturday? Well, much later than it was originally scheduled to. And, you know, for the sake of my Friday friend, I'm like, yeah, you know what? It got into stock early enough on Right Stuff that it was possible it could be delivered by Friday, but it, you know, they don't send things out super fast. So instead, you know, it was, well, maybe it'll show up Saturday, but it didn't. And the, and, you know, neither of them showed up on Saturday. Instead, they were delivered today and on Monday, respectively. Anyways, this is One Piece Season 11 Voyage 4. So, you know, while I won't be talking about, you know, the contents of it in terms of what I've watched, there's DVD Blu-ray discs 1 each, and DVD Blu-ray discs 2 each. Yeah, that says Blu-ray, that says DVD. Well, yeah, so, you know, got an extra copy. It's unfortunate that that happened, but, oh well, you know, I think it was worth the effort, just for the sake of my friend. I don't know what I'm going to do with the other one, you know, if the Right Stuff one, if I thought it was going to be delivered on Saturday, and the Amazon order hadn't shipped, I would have just canceled the Amazon order, but, you know, that ended up not happening. So we have Bleach Blu-ray set 12. Let's see, we've got advertisements in here for Hunter x Hunter and Demon Slayer. That looked like Demon Lair, the S is a little hidden there. And one more, Bleach. Who'da thunk? That's for the Bleach manga, of course. I kind of expected that. And manga. It's a good reminder that Viz has manga. And there's a... was her name Rukia? I don't know. These discs usually aren't that impressive, but, you know. Soden no Shirayuki. Gesundheit. Jeez. Probably be easier to memorize it if I heard people say it. And last but not least, we have Spectre. And I know somebody was curious if this one would be subtitled locked or not. This is Viz. I don't think Viz necessarily makes that an option. They don't necessarily make it not an option. This says region A. Is that the dub information down there? Focus camera? No. 288 minutes. Well, I'm kind of curious. None of this says. I'm guessing it's. Oh yeah, complete season, 12 episodes. So yeah, this is a complete season, and it's definitely intriguing looking. I have no idea what it's about. Ooh, came with postcards. You know what? Poster? Yes. I was gonna say, wait, that looked kind of like Rukia or what's her face from Bleach. Kind of gives Higurashi, or When They Cry sort of vibe, doesn't she? And I usually don't open these, but you know, I've only got 3 things today, and might as well. Because I'm sure you're just as curious as I am what all the pretty anime artwork that came with this is. Well, that's a less usual setup. Definitely a very mysterious and intriguing looking show. Now, usually I don't open these because getting them back in is hella difficult. And maybe I shouldn't, but I don't know. There's a part of me that wants to keep these with the DVD, Blu-ray. This is just Blu-ray. But we're going to take a look at what I believe is the poster next, just because I felt it was folded. What the fuck? Oh. Those look like yokai. I mean, that's a kappa. Maybe they're not yokai, maybe they're apparitions. Or something. Interesting. Maybe that's folded the wrong way. Yeah, that feels more secure. And then we've got more ads. JoJo's Bizarre Adventures in Hunter x Hunter. Hunter x Hunter JoJo. I think that's a JoJo reference. Disc 2, Disc 1. Discuss the ordering. Just a cityscape in the background. Kind of makes sense. Interesting. But yeah, I will definitely fire this one up to find out if if it's subtitle locked, because I remember one of you was curious. And I wouldn't get your hopes up. I'm not surprised that... Oh, I'm having trouble closing this. That Kenichi the Mightiest Disciple is not... Or I'm not surprised that one is not subtitle locked, because that one, you know, that's an Eastern Star release, and you know, since they are smaller, they stuff. Anyways, here's this week's anime DVD collection update. Well, it's been quite a week. Before I start these, what was it I was trying to watch before? I don't remember, but something somebody said inspired me to go ahead and pop Kenichi. Okay, so yeah, the person that asked if it was subtitled, I put Kenichi the Mightiest Disciple in my Blu-ray player, and you know, while it was there, I kind of rewatched a little bit of it, a handful of episodes while I was doing other stuff. And it's an entertaining series. It's definitely kind of a fighting show, sort of, but definitely it takes it from a different direction than you normally see, but it does seem to be an excuse for fights to happen. And sometimes it does feel like they're excuses, but it's okay. It's entertaining. But I don't know what I would have to really comment on about it, other than I do remember Appa being a very entertaining character. Appa? Let's see. I did get a couple episodes of Kakushigoto watched. I'm not sure if it was 2 or 3. Maybe it was 4. I don't know. It's all kind of blurring together right now. And it's definitely a very neat series. The artwork is very cute, calming, and kind of heartwarming to watch. The content, so like I commented, this looks like it's hopefully a father-daughter thing, and yeah, it's a father-daughter thing, with the main premise being that the father is secretly a manga artist, and he's not particularly famous, but he is well known enough to have been recognized and been embarrassed enough by it to realize he doesn't want his daughter to know. And it's a comedy that plays upon that, but it's also a serious slice of life in terms of we get flash forwards to the future of her slowly realizing stuff about that, I guess. about her life as a kid. But it mostly takes place, during this time frame where there are these respective things. And it plays mostly off character interactions, and I found that it was a little more entertaining and engaging than some other stuff I've watched recently, kind of trying to do that. There's definitely moments it depends on humor where people are getting the wrong idea, but it's less cringy in that regard than a lot of those shows that usually use that kind of humor, because usually it's... wow, 2 beeps at this. I mean, I was expecting Discord thing, but... Or were there 2 Discord notifications while I was recording? Anyways, I think it helps that he doesn't really regard, and it's kind of other people doing it to themselves, which helps the comedy kind of come through, I guess. Nothing about it's making me gut-bustingly laugh. I'm just amused and entertained when I have it on, and I seem to be watching it. So, kind of a real digestible show in a lot of regards. And fortunately, I only had positive things to say about it after all these weeks of negative stuff. And then, this isn't the last thing I'm going to talk about, but I did watch Dragon Ball Super, the Broly movie, and I hope this ends up being canon, because I really like it. It's interesting because the things that are entertaining about it for me are not the battling per se, but rather the setup and execution in total. It's definitely very Dragon Ball Super in that regard, where, Dragon Ball Z kind of got a little lost in itself, and it kind of had some of its whimsical moments, but it gets really tied down to, I'm a fighting show now. I've been a fighting show ever since Dragon Ball and the first tournament or whatever, And Dragon Ball Super did a good job of kind of keeping those elements there, expanding the lore, but keeping it more relatable and personable. I've often joked that Dragon Ball Super should be called Dragon Ball Supper, because a lot of the characters just engage in this very basic human bonding thing of, we all eat. And I say human, and I don't mean Homo sapien, I mean human from the point of view of just sentient life forms in general. Because, that's a weird thing. Does human mean our species, or does human mean more than that? Because, we could say that there's an alien something, but it acts humane, which is kind of indicating it acts like ideal human. And the point is, I think of the word as more not something limited to our species. It's just more of a description of a positive sentient life form way of acting. So when I say that, there's all these humans interacting because they enjoy eating, I mean that in a very broad sense and not a special sense. And it brings a lot of characters, good and bad, together. And it's not the only thing that Dragon Ball Super does, but it's just a really good example of this homeliness. And this one is kind of similar. It rewrites some of the Dragon Ball Z history, but it does so in a very satisfying way. You can enjoy the old stuff with no problem. You can prefer it even. But, sometimes there's this problem if you kind of feel like you're not dealing with real people to a certain extent. And because of that, it feels like certain things are explained, but maybe don't make sense. I think a really good example is Goku was sent to Earth as a baby in order to conquer it. And that would mean that, whoever's in charge of organizing all this world-conquering stuff should be aware that Goku was sent there. Whereas only a couple people were, and certain people like Frieza were scared of the possibility of certain Saiyan things would probably be not accept a Saiyan being that out of control or out of their reach or something like that. So it kind of makes sense that instead it was more like a Superman situation where Bardock was just really sharp and kind of predicted what was going to happen, and it's something that Frieza went out of his way to set up instead of something that's I just showed up to blow you all up. Instead, it was a plan that he walked through and kind of was able to talk about it. We got more insight in the Saiyans, not just as, we are all just wearing this armor and being fighters. They had a society, and it kind of brings it in line with
some of our depiction of Saiyans from other universes in you know, the Dragon Ball Super series in general, and it kind of is great because instead of like Bardock being this kind of animal thing, which is kind of cool, instead it's like, well, they don't worry about like technologically building up their house. They prefer fighting, but that doesn't make him not have a home and not have interactions that kind of are reminiscent of that. And you know, it was more homely, and instead of the Broly and his dad thing kind of being weird, they tied it in where it's related to Frieza and Frieza's opinion of the Saiyans and just general goals, and it comes together as a story, and as a battle it makes more sense, like, or maybe not makes sense, but it just feels better, because in the original Broly movie, once Broly snapped, he was this indestructible wall that kept coming forward. And I don't mean like they knock him down and get up. I mean like no matter what they did, they just couldn't cause him to flinch or do anything. And it's cool, but it's not as entertaining, interesting as holy shit, he's learning while we're fighting or something like that, which is closer to what this did, but that doesn't even really cover it because this is Broly we're talking about. I also really liked the new characters they introduced in order to give Broly more dynamic, I guess, for lack of better words. And I do mean both of them, because I know the one girl is supposed to be cute, but the orange guy is actually pretty awesome. It's like, you're not quite sure because, you know, she's just there immediately, and, you know, you can immediately tell looking at her, oh, yeah, she's supposed to look awesome. And he is harder to tell, but they just work really well personality-wise as well. It was overall a really great movie. And again, not because I felt like not because I felt like it was the best fight. I mean, it had one of the more memorable moments from a fight that I've seen in quite a while. And I don't know if I really want to say that because, you know, it's a little spoiler, but, you know, that's good. More positive things to say. And I think that's all the anime. Well, I guess I did rewatch bits and pieces of Erased, and why am I blanking on the name of that anime? Because it's right there, but I can't read the name from this far away. Yeah, that isekai one with Aqua, the useless goddess. Why am I blanking on the name? I know it, Konosuba. Okay, there we go. Konosuba. Rewatching various scenes. Most of that came because I was reorganizing stuff because I didn't know where Dragon Ball Super was, and because my Friday friend wasn't going to be able to watch One Piece, well, we're like, yeah, let's watch that. I'm glad we did. And One Piece should be a really good follow-up this coming week. But, you know, trying to look for that, there was some reorganization of my anime, and I'd like to show you some of the stuff here. Because you may recall that I got Fate Stay Night, Heaven's Feel, Volume 3. Was that last week or the week before? I think it was last week. And I was wondering where Volumes 1 and 2 were, and they were random places. But now 1, 2, and 3 are here. Grand Order, Extra, you know, Apocrypha. So I got all my Fate stuff here. I want to collect all my JoJo Blu-rays here. And, you know, a part of doing that, you know, digging through the stuff, it's like, oh, you know, I really ought to erase so that I can revisit some of that because I don't remember it too well. And, you know, it was neat. Just a couple of things I revisited, and I think I remember commenting that there was this one girl that the guy knows that I kind of feel like isn't fake, but, or kind of feel a little fake as in like, it's kind of similar to the fakeness from Rising of the Shield Hero, in that this guy's in a shitty situation and they just create too perfect a girl, and as heartwarming as it is to see, there's another part of me that feels just how fake it is just because of how perfect the situation is there, I guess. But, you know, that doesn't mean that it didn't work. It just kind of worked a little too well, such that I felt it, I guess. And Konosuba's great. I mean, I really love Darkness, but it's a show all about isekai, and let's turn the expectations comically upside down. And it isn't even just, oh, that's all we're doing. It masterfully plays it out when it does it. And again, I like Darkness the most because she's the one that just kind of jokers the fuck out of the script. Like, you remember how Joker's about taking people's plans and turning them upside down? Well, that's Darkness almost every single time she shows up. And she's not even, like, going to be everybody's favorite, but that's why I like her, and it's just, like, good show. This is my gushing week, because let's gush about the next thing. I mentioned last week that I hadn't yet watched the Rick and Morty Season 5 finale. If you haven't, prioritize it. I mean, I'm not sure that watching it I kind of felt the things that I would have been expected to have been feeling, but that doesn't mean that it didn't create the impact that it really needed to, because I'm still fucking digesting it. I don't even want to tell you all why, because it does so many things that you can't really expect a finale to do, and it does them all so well. And again, I don't want to talk about it because I want y'all to watch it and say, oh, wow, yeah. So if you're a fan of Rick and Morty and you have been putting off Season 5 until it was all out, you know, I guess once you get your opportunity to watch it, you can. If you started watching Season 5 and Season 5 kind of left you feeling, I think it goes right. These episodes are entertaining, but they're feeling exhausting and overwhelming. I don't know if I can continue on, especially after the sperm episode. And not everything's necessarily good in Season 5. I thought Season 5 was perfectly fine. I could definitely see why it would be felt like weaker, and I've talked about the reasons why maybe just 2 minutes ago. But we were told that the Season 5 finale would be notable, and it's very notable. And I'm curious to see what they'll do in Season 6. I'm not getting my hopes up too high, because the way Season 4 ended could have indicated Season 5 would go certain different directions, and it didn't really. There's some dynamics that didn't quite impact as strongly in Season 5 as they probably should have from the Season 4 finale, but it was just entertaining. And if this means that we get entertaining Rick and Morty episodes followed by every once in a while some core expanding, what do you call those, lore expanding, I guess overarching story kind of episodes that march the series forward in some way, you know, if those happen every once in a while, it's still got my thumbs up. Even if the next one isn't until like Season 7, hell, if they did a really big one in Season 8, you know, it would be good. I don't know how many seasons they're going to go, but at this point, you know, they've given themselves room to do some good stuff from a writing perspective. All good stuff. All good stuff. And that's not everything. I don't remember if I had purchased this. I'm pretty sure I had purchased this, all of Dead by Daylight, as of my video from last week. But I've definitely done a lot more of the playing since then. Enough so that I can at least talk a little bit about, you know, what's entertaining. So, you know, it's really hard playing as a survivor. Not just because, you know, the killers kind of got an advantage, but it can just be hard, and sometimes you get bad killers. And I don't mean bad killers as in, like, somebody who can't kill you. I mean bad killers as in, like, somebody who doesn't understand that the game isn't about killing. Killing is just part of what you're supposed to be doing as you go along. And, you know, I can completely respect that some people are like, oh, no, I need to get all my kills. You know, if that's what you do, that's what you do. You know, it's definitely really nice when you run into a killer who understands that playing as Survivor is frustrating, and I say all that, and I should probably just talk about, you know, I don't consider myself a good player. I know I get different opinions, but the truth of the matter is I'm kind of stuck with Claudette at the moment, mostly because she's got 3 awesome perks, and there's an additional one that's just available to everybody at the beginning that kind of tops it all off very well, where you can be slightly less of a drag if you feel like you don't know what you're doing. So, for example, if someone unhooks me, or I just get injured and I manage to escape, I can heal myself so I don't have to hold down my allies by expecting them to know to do that. Some of them don't seem to know to do that, and you know, I've got some okay aura reading abilities that allows me to make plans, so I can see, oh yeah, the killer just hooked them on the hook and they started going clockwise. I'll go clockwise to get behind them and unhook the friend. And I do tend to play a little more altruistically, so early on I was definitely having problems getting any generators done, period, because, you know, the other problem with being a person that unhooks is you do tend to get in shit a whole lot. You kind of have to figure out how to balance it all out, and I'm not saying I'm any good at that, but Claudette is pretty natural at that. The other advantages of her are she's got a good outfit, and because she's also dark-skinned, it basically means she is really good at having a very small or very low profile. And I don't mean like height, I just mean like she blends into a lot of things a whole lot better. You would need really bright places for her to stand out against them, and even then there tends to be little dark things here and there, so it makes it easy for her to vanish and not be noticed, and I appreciate that. But a couple of days ago I decided, and I say a couple of days ago, I mean over the weekend, probably Saturday night, I've been slowly getting the itch to try Killer, but I didn't want to because my biggest fear is that the game makes me feel too competitive, and I don't want to feel competitive. I want everybody to play and have a good time. And what's drawn me a little bit to Killer is that feeling. And it's really hard to play that way because some of the killers aren't easy that way. And I could kind of tell early on that I wouldn't want to play certain kill because I thought the Doctor sounded fascinating. But when I saw what it's like to actually face him and all that stuff, I kind of realized, like, there's a famous quote from Mark Twain called "Lies, Damn Lies, and Statistics," which is all about truthiness of things. So when somebody's telling a lie, obviously they're not telling the truth. But when they're telling a damn lie, they're really lying. And then statistics is a way to lie while making it seem like you're telling the truth in the thing. So, you know, that kind of is a list of less truthy to least truthy, or most to least truthy. And then my joke is the lie that goes beyond statistics is the game saying the Doctor is hard to play. I don't think so. But before that, you know, I wanted to, if I was going to play Killer, I wanted to start playing Killer that I felt like, okay, people are not going to be as stressed out finding out I am X-Killer. Which kind of means, okay, I need to not be one of the common ones, because the more common the killer is, the more sweaty people you'll encounter who are in it to die. Or, even worse, you get the bad killers who are like, oh, well, as soon as I catch someone, I'm just going to camp them so nobody else can come and save them. And maybe there's a way you can save them, and, you know, the kinds of people I play with and stuff don't really know how. But when you have people like Michael Myers, and he managed to get Evil Within to stage 3, you can't go up and rescue because that's pretty much a guarantee that he's going to just knock the next person over. And those players tend to be campy assholes who don't understand. You know, it's not fun to be on the hook all the time. You want to be able to play the game. You want to be able to sneak around to evade the killer and to work on generators and to open chests, and you want to actually escape every once in a while. And so, you know, I wanted a less common that doesn't remind everybody of those. So, but the other thing I wanted was I also didn't want one that moves too unpredictably. I wanted very straightforward movement, so I didn't want something like the Hag or the Spirit, you know, teleporting and kind of astral plane projection, body walking. And all of that eventually settled me down on me playing Pyramid Head. And, you know, I had the full gamut of choices. I think I mentioned this last week that when I bought Dead by Daylight, and I bought everything. That includes all the DLC that's, you know, $270 or something crazy like that. It turns out a bunch of chapters add up really quick. Oh, well, they get their money. I get options. And with Pyramid Head, aka the Executioner, I kind of think I found that balance. I mean, I had always been eyeing him, but I didn't like his perks. But now, the more I look at it, the more I'm like, that's for the best. Because if he doesn't by default have really good perks, it helps me define where I'm going to begin as being this killer in terms of providing people a challenge. Because I don't want to throw the game. I want people to know, okay, if you keep doing the wrong thing and I can't do anything to help you juke me, you know, helping, that usually means intentionally breaking crates and every once in a while deliberately ignoring people making hurt sounds. You know, and sometimes just breaking a chase because, like, you know, I gotta go make sure they're not fixing those generators. You know, I'll do that every once in a while because I want to keep the game going. And it's really good for them because I notice their scores tend to be a lot higher than my scores when I play Survivor. They could be doing a really good job, but I've noticed that even with really crappy ones. And a whole lot of that has to do with the fact that, you know, I'll initiate these chases and sometimes I'll catch them, but I'll deliberately change targets. If I'm chasing somebody, I'm like, oh, I've hooked this person before. I don't know if it's been once or twice. Oh, there's somebody I've never hooked before. All right, you're my new target. And, you know, Pyramid Head is good just because, you know, he has his 2 standard attacks, but his special attacks kind of involve creating a trail of barbed wire. And that one's nice and tricky because you kind of have to place that one in positions that you would encourage runners or survivors to run through it. And at the same time, when he's doing that, he can also do this attack that causes spikes to jump up in front of him. So there's a little range there. And that makes it pretty straightforward. You don't want to be in front of him. You do want to be careful of the barbed wires, etc. But that's pretty straightforward. And I've really liked it. And as I've built them up, I kind of realized, okay. Even the one perk I chose to use is the only one that I'm like, one of them causes survivors to be broken, and I don't want them to be broken. I want them to have a chance to heal themselves. I know it costs me blood points, but it's better for them if they can heal. So the only kind of healing punishment I do is Deathbound, which is a perk that causes it where if survivors are really far away from Pyramid Head, if one heals the other, once they're done healing, the healer screams and they're deathbound for a little bit, which just makes it where they can't hear the terror radius. And that's a little dangerous, but that's a lot better because it happens when I'm on the other side of the map and I can decide, oh no, I'm checking generators, I'm going to ignore that for now, or okay, I'm going to go investigate that, and it gives them enough time to hide. And this is hiding without running, because if you run, the scratch marks make it too easy to find and follow you a whole lot. And a lot of people don't realize this stuff, and I'm hoping I'm giving them more of a chance to figure some of that stuff out. And, you know, other than that, I want to choose perks that actually increase my blood points but don't really do anything else. Like, Thrill of the Hunt is really great. It makes it where there's 5 hex totems in there, but they're not doing anything to the survivors. It's just blood points for me, for however many are remaining. It's only a problem if they start cleansing them, and if they continue cleansing even though I approach because I saw the notification, which happened in my last game. I don't know what was wrong with her because I'm pretty sure she was not within Deathbound, And at the same time, I have distressing. Is that the name? The perk that increases your terror radius, so people can hear me coming from much further away than before. And it really showed in that game, because it used to be the case where I could go up to a generator and use my forward ranged attack, and I'd hit somebody who was just hoping for me to get a little bit closer, or they didn't notice or something. I don't know what's up with that. And this has made me realize that I really do need to get a perk that belongs to the cannibal. It's called Barbecue and Chill, and you know, that one I hook survivors, and that just gives me more blood points at the very end. So, you know, it's that and chill. So, no big rush. All I have to do is hook everybody once, which I try to do anyways. But I don't have that yet. I've just realized that, okay, I guess I'm just going to start putting blood points into the cannibal and never play him. Unless the game kind of encourages me to, which is where I'll go to next. But the idea is, I'll reach to the point where I can unlock it and then get it for Pyramid Head and level that up, and then I'll have a good killer build finally finished. I don't know if I'll prestige him or not. Not going to be in a big rush to do that. I guess... Oh, well, I guess the only other thing to say is right now, in the interim, I'm trying not to give anything that gives me too big of an advantage. You know, I don't want big advantages, so I'm playing around with Insidious. Although I've only ever used it once, and it was in the match that I just mentioned, where, you know, normally I try to encourage more survivors to leave alive if I can help it. Small maps like Midwich Elementary make that almost impossible, because, you know, I don't want to just not kill everybody, but that map's too small. Anyways, the problem was I was trying to complete a challenge to close the hatch. Somebody sacrificed a thing that made the hatch appear in the main building, and when one person was dead and 4 generators were done, that meant that the hatch was visible and could be seen. And, you know, being the killer, that means I got to go through the main building a lot and say, oh, well, there's the hatch. So at that point, it's like, okay, well, if I manage to kill 2 more people, then I'll close that hatch and let the last person go. I'll get my achievement. But what exactly it means to let the last person go, I'm not sure. Because sometimes, you know, I can get somebody when they're at the gate, and I'm like, oh, here you go. Go on. I got my kills. I knocked you down to the dying state. That's all I need. You get to live through this. So that'll happen. Sometimes pick a survivor up and bring them to the escape hatch. You know, if I happen to know where it is and it's close. And in this case, though, since I closed the hatch, I needed to encourage... her name's not Charlotte. I'm forgetting her name, because it's not Rochelle either, because that's Left 4 Dead. Oh well, the same character I said I played. It's Claudette. There we go. So the remaining Claudette, I had to kind of encourage her to go to one of the doors, and I kind of freaked her out a little bit by being kind of close to one, but I used Insidious in order to turn my terror radius off so she could finish opening it, and then I could start it up and chase her to the exit and make sure she just got the hell out of Dodge. Which... you know, it was a weird way to choose to end it. But, you know, the only other way I would use Insidious is I would probably wait by a generator, maybe just around the corner or something, and somebody comes in to repair it, and, oh, shit, killer's right there. And it's Pyramid Head. Oh, shit. Could be interesting. And maybe I'll find an opportunity to do that, but it's really hard because... I'm almost always continuously moving, because if I'm continuously moving, then I'm getting away from the area where a survivor is hooked, or I'm getting away from an area where I'm pretty sure there's somebody in the area, but I don't know where they went and where they're hiding. I just sabotaged the generator, and they're going to get a chance to continue working on it a little bit more. You know, I want to give people these chances, so it's weird. And I guess today I started looking at the daily challenges. And I kind of realized I have three killer things. I guess I'll just do this. I won't level up those killers. One of them was Doctor. And I ended up playing as Doctor twice. Wants to get that, and then wants to get a challenge, a non-daily challenge, one of the tome challenges. You know, and get a lot of blood points really fast that way. And, yeah. I mean, I had to limit myself a lot more there. So instead I got most of my jollies from just shocking people a whole lot. And I you know, would hit them and make sure that they know that if I do manage to catch them, I will attack. Made it easier for me to lose them, but 2 games with the Doctor, and it's strange. Pyramid Head is rated as intermediate difficulty, whereas Doctor is hard, but I think it's completely bass-ackwards. Because they both have a similar thing. Oh, I have this attack in front of me. And the Doctor's is a little slower, but it's a bigger area, and it's the same concept as Pyramid Head's forward attack. But then when it comes to the other special thing he does, Pyramid Heads is really hard because you kind of have to figure out where to put those trails of torment and try to encourage survivors to run through them. Whereas the Doctor, you just go up to a generator and you're like, huh, somebody was repairing this. Shockwave, and you'll hear 2 screams in opposite directions and you just chase after one. It's easy. I mean, maybe it requires you to be able to catch them while you're running, but the killers have the advantage in that regard, so it's not always hard. Maybe this is also a problem with the Ash level. Maybe at higher levels it's harder to play the Doctor compared to the other killers. But it doesn't seem like it. Doctor just takes a lot of hiding out of the game, and that seems to be a big part of it. It's one of the big things you do to avoid the killers, and that's also why I don't have any aura skills as Pyramid Head. Oh well. I played the Shape, and I realized that I've never seen anybody online ever play him correctly. And mostly it's because if you're facing somebody that's playing the Shape, there is a very good chance you're going to have somebody that camps. And the level of campiness is going to vary, but I would say 90-95% of the Shapes that I've seen have camped. And the other ones, I mean, I don't even think I've fought that many Shapes, so that probably means all the Shapes I've fought have done that, even the ones I've seen other people do. You are supposed to be doing stuff related to the obsession, because that's fitting with the character of the Michael Myers character. You know, the Shape is Michael Myers from the Halloween series. Unless I'm mixing up his name with that guy that did all those funny movies. Or maybe they've got the same name. Interesting. But, you know, the point is you're supposed to stalk your obsession, and that's what I did. You know, I didn't immediately figure out I was just stalking everybody at first, but then I started figuring out, oh, yeah, Bill's my obsession, so I should stalk him and intentionally gain some tokens. And I don't like that it put people into exposed, but I can appreciate the fact that that's what you're supposed to do. And, you know, 2 people died, and I managed to trick the other 2 into successfully escaping. I mean, in a nutshell, you know, you have to make sure they go in the right direction, and you have to not get between them and whatever exit you want them to start going to. And the 2 of them got out okay, and I'm glad about that. You know, I do the other thing when it comes to somebody's hooked. If I think there's people on the other side of the map working on generators, they're not working on generators anymore. They're probably running in a direction, the opposite direction, to the other side of the map, and then it's like, oh, I managed to lose the killer, and he's not following me over this way. Well, I guess I better rescue that hooked person. So, it's really unfortunate. Shape should be stalky, and when you kill somebody, he's really, really intended for, and then he should walk away. Now, maybe you try to hit multiple people with exposed status at the same time. I'm a little leery of intentionally trying to do that with, because when there's 2 survivors on hook, it becomes trickier for them to be saved and trickier for the survivors to make progress. And sometimes I have to evaluate. If they're not making progress, I'm going to stop sabotaging generators. I'll make that measurement. But yeah, it was good. Everybody scored pretty decently. You know, and I hope they enjoyed themselves, including the people who died, because it's hard. But I can appreciate it. And one of them, I just kind of lost track of how many times they had been hooked. That happens sometimes. And the other one, I guess I never noticed that they reached stage 2 on the hook. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. That happens. But, if there's no risk, then it's not as engaging for the survivors who do manage to survive. There needs to be real risk. And then last but not least, I also had something for the pig. And that was amusing. That was the one I mentioned where, I downed a guy at a gate and just opened the gate and let him go free. There were 2 other people on the map, but, they were smart enough to go for the other exit gate, and they got out before I got there, which is good. Because, I killed one person. I hope they all escape. I do appreciate when 1 or 2 die, but in this case, the pig is basically a play on the Jigsaw stuff. I don't know if they resemble a character from an actual movie or whatnot, but my goal was to get my 4 lunge attacks for sure. So, of course I do it more than 4 times. And that would explain why I was also not as successful in my chase sequences as I normally is. It was also the Backwater Swamp, which is a really good survivor map just for, they disappeared and I can't see them anymore. But, they also have reverse bear traps, very Saw style, and that was basically my goal, was to get 4 of those on them. I think I got one guy twice. The guy actually put into a dying state and let him crawl outside the gate. But one of the people didn't manage to get their trap off in time, and that was kind of sad. That was unfortunate. I didn't want to kill them, but again, deaths happen when you're the killer. And it has to be willing to happen in order for there to be real danger and excitement. So, my hope is the people that played those matches got better doctors and shapes than they normally do. And I don't see the pig very often myself. There could be amusing things about that. If I were to play a stealthy character, they might be the one I would try, just because, Ghostface is the more stealthy character, and it seems to be pretty common to call them Ghost Butt, but that's just my opinion. Okay, obviously I've been playing a lot of Dead by Daylight, and it's still in the brain, and it's really hard because I'm back at work, and, well, this is a long video, and I've got hiccups. Yeah, so I don't know what the next week's going to be like, because I've got stuff I want to watch, but at the same time, I'm enjoying romping around as Pyramid Head, because he's also Pyramid Head. That first Saturday night when I did it, the last match I did, somebody burnt an offering to send everybody to Midwich Elementary School, which is from Silent Hill. So it's the Silent Hill map. And who did they get in it? They got Pyramid Head. 2 of those survivors were so ecstatic. And I hope I didn't put too much of a stopper in there, because I think they both died. That one I killed 3 people and dropped the 4th person off at a hatch instead of letting them open the exit gate. But I hope they're like, Silent Hill, Silent Hill. And I'd probably be a much better Pyramid Head now, especially with that extended terror radius. But, trying to wrap up this video. I hope this has been an entertaining discussion session for those of you who like this part of the video. Other than that, y'all have a nice week.